Alrighty, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 6 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get this meeting started. This is the City Council Public Hearing Work Session for February the 12th. I'll call this meeting to order, and the clerk will call the roll.
Mayor Brian Mock,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Paul Stovall,
Here.
Councilmember Jimmy First,
Here.
Councilmember John Mesa, Councilmember Leslie Robson, Councilmember Elmer Veith.
Here.
All right, if somebody will approve the agenda for me.
Motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor? And the agenda is approved. That'll take us down to public hearings. I'll read the rules of order for public hearings first. The hearing shall be presided over by the mayor. After calling the hearing to order, the mayor shall request the parcels of property which are subject to the zoning proposal be identified and read. Following such identification and reading, the development director's recommendation shall be presented. The mayor and city council shall cause the director's written recommendation to be made part of the record. Proponents of each proposed zoning decision shall then be allowed a total of 10 minutes for presentation of data, evidence, and opinion concerning the zoning decision. If all 10 minutes are not used, the proponent's remaining time may be reserved for rebuttal. Opponents of each proposed zoning decision shall then be allowed a total of 10 minutes for presentation of data, evidence, and opinion concerning each zoning decision. The presentation times may not be reduced but may be expanded by majority vote provided they're expanded equally for proponents and opponents. Anyone wishing to speak must come to the microphone, give your name and address to the city clerk. Please do not speak unless you have the microphone and have been recognized. And up first this evening, Matt, we have 5459, 5463 Peachtree Road.
Evening, Mayor and Council. I'll keep my comments tonight on these applications brief, both because they're straightforward and because Chief Diapa has let me know that public hearings that end before the dinner rush ends is a public safety priority. So this first case is PZ 2026-1630, property located at 1559, also known as 5463 Peachtree Road. According to DeKalb County tax records, this structure is 25,000 square feet and built in 1971, currently used as a thrift store and furniture consignment store. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow 2 commercial dumpster enclosures to be located in the front yard of the property. The existing structure is built directly adjacent to the property line. Because of this condition, there is no usable rear yard area available for dumpster placement. Here you can see the subject property in its Peachtree Road frontage. And on this photograph, you can actually see the 2 dumpsters, both in the center of the picture on the left and over on the far right of the picture on the right. Staff finds that this site has unique physical constraints, namely the lack of a rear yard or compliant location in which to place the dumpsters, and finds that strict application of the ordinance would create an unnecessary hardship. Staff also finds that the proposed dumpster enclosures would screen the dumpsters from public view and would not cause detriment to the public health, safety, or welfare. This elevation shows the location of the proposed dumpsters in relation to the facade. Based on the plans provided, staff finds that the dumpster enclosures would have otherwise be constructed to a height compliant with the UDO. And on this slide, you could see an example of the enclosure. Based on this preliminary rendering, staff finds that the enclosure would be constructed of a compliant material, i.e. wood with metal joints. As stated earlier, the property is located directly adjacent to the Southern Railroad right-of-way. The building itself is constructed directly adjacent to the property line, and staff finds that these are the primary constraints driving the hardship and that compliance with the requirements of the UDO would not be possible. Because of this, staff recommends approval of the variance subject to the condition that the development be constructed in substantial conformity with the site plan and elevations dated December 17th, 2025.
Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of this item? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? All right, that'll take us down to the next item. This is 4161 Longview Drive.
Good evening again. This case is PZ 2026-1634, a driveway waiver request for 4161 Longview Drive. In November 2025, the property received a code enforcement violation related to the construction of an unpermitted driveway, and the applicant is requesting a waiver to allow two curb cuts along the Admiral Drive frontage where only one curb cut is otherwise permitted under the UDO. Staff confirmed that a secondary curb cut has existed on the site since at least 2008. That's when the street view records drop off, and may predate the current UDO in its entirety. Over time, that driveway became overgrown, and the applicant repaved and widened the existing curb cut and connected it to the primary driveway to form a semicircular driveway along Admiral Drive. This is important to note because this feature could have been considered legally nonconforming. However, because it's been widened and the design is altered, it no longer enjoys that status. As a corner lot, the property is permitted to have up to two driveways with one on each frontage. However, given that Longview Drive's classified as a feeder street, installation of a new curb cut on that frontage is prohibited when access can be provided from another street. So here you can see the frontages of the property along Longview Drive, which is the primary frontage, and then along Admiral Drive, which is the corner lot frontage. The new driveway is clearly visible on the Admiral Drive photo, along with the primary driveway, which is shown in this picture with the white sedan parked in it. This slide shows the proposed site layout of the driveway, which includes a reduction of the primary driveway and the installation of sod to offset the total encroachment into the curb cuts into the right-of-way. First, regarding the conditions outside the owner's control, the property is on a corner lot and sits approximately 10 feet higher than both the adjoining streets. This topographic configuration is inherent to the site and was not created by the applicant. The secondary curb cut has existed for many years, and the current configuration does not introduce new traffic points, patterns, or access points, and does not create additional safety concerns beyond the existing conditions. Basically, it's been there for a while. There's no issue in it continuing from staff's perspective. And third, there was no alternative configuration proposed. However, given the longstanding existence of the curb cut and the absence of adverse impacts, staff finds the current configuration is consistent with the established residential streetscape. Based on these findings, staff recommends approval of the one waiver request.
You're wishing to speak in favor of this item tonight? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? All right, that'll take us down to our final public hearing for the evening. That's 2026-1635. That's a slew of residences on Huntington Chase.
So this case is a request for two variances to allow the construction of a 6-foot-tall wooden privacy fence within the street side yard facing Harts Mill Road. Specifically, the applicant is requesting a variance to increase the allowable height of fences along Harts Mill Road, and a variance to allow a fence that is less than 50% transparent in the street side yard. Actually, the Harts Mill Road front yard. My apologies. The subject properties include several single-family lots within the Huntington Chase subdivision. They are located along Harts Mill Road, which is a feeder street that experiences significant through traffic, just south of the city of Brookhaven city limits. While most lots in the Huntington Chase are interior lots, these particular homes have direct frontage on Harts Mill Road and effectively function as through lots between Harts Mill Road and Huntington Chase Drive. The existing fence, which you can see in this photograph, is in disrepair and no longer provides adequate screening or protection. As mentioned earlier, these are through lots with two front yards. Their location along a feeder street further complicates matters, as this configuration creates increased exposure to traffic that is not typical of an interior subdivision lot. Staff further finds that strict application of the fence height and transparency requirements would limit the ability to provide adequate screening for privacy and mitigation of noise from Harts Mill Road. Due to the unique frontage and through-lot condition, enforcement of the 4-foot height and 50% transparency standards would prevent the level of buffering reasonably necessary for these properties. Because of this, staff is recommending approval of both variance requests.
Anyone here wishing to speak in favor of this item tonight? Anyone? Come on up. Tell us your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Joe Payne. I live at 3760 Harts Place, the neighborhood directly next to Huntington Chase. And given the amount of traffic on Harts Mill Road and the speed of the traffic on Harts Mill Road, I heartily endorse this. We actually have an 8-foot fence on our property next to them, and it's still not enough for the noise for you to have quiet enjoyment. My house is 2 in from the street, and it's still, at all hours of the day, such an incredible amount of traffic. Harts Mill was able to allow trucks, large semi-trucks, because of the way that everything had been put out of place. I think we need to go back to that, for one thing, and not allow semis and other large trucks on Harts Mill over a certain amount unless they're making deliveries. But in terms of, I can't imagine how these folks have had quiet enjoyment for their homes for the past couple of years. So I would heartily, like I said, heartily endorse it.
Else wishing to speak in favor of this item? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? All right, this item comes up later on in the agenda. Council may or may not have questions at that time. We'll move on down to old business. We have 4 sets of minutes from previous meetings. Did anyone see anything that needed to be changed or anything on those? Seeing none, we'll move on down. A couple of second reads coming up on Tuesday. And that'll take us on down to staff action items, the annual design review, board appointments.
Mayor, I believe this one and the next 2 items or 3 items after this are all appointments with information that has been shared with you all and is also in your packets.
Very good. So we'll skip then on down to the 4th item. Is that okay?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, we'll skip on down to the 4th item, which is the DeKalb Women's Commission
Blake
appointment.
Dodd is going to present on this one.
What's that?
Blake Dodd is going to present on this one.
Very good. Blake? Oh? Blake is looking confused, so therefore,
Sorry, my bad. I skipped too far.
all right. Then we will, we'll move on down to LIHTC, the LIHTC letter of support.
Yeah, hey, Mayor and Council, we were up here, I guess, April last year for this as well. So this is part of our GIC status. So we're a GIC alumni because we graduated in November. And because of this, we can annually offer a letter of support to a developer who's looking to produce a LIHTC development in our city. This year we have Region Partners who applied. I think they're in the variance application process right now. I think they'll be presenting next month on that. But we are choosing them to award our letter of support. So this would be a 9% low-income tax credit project. That's going to be 61 units. This will be off of Hardy Avenue, right next to the airport. There are going to be 56 affordable. 6 of them will be market rate, and their target household renter earn between $43,000 to $65,000. Any questions on this?
On down, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Blake. This is a Chamblee Rail Trail 7 to 12 tip modification application.
Daria Kriskus, Budget and Strategy Manager. So, as you know, we're in the right-of-way acquisition phase with the rail trail, and we are simply asking to pursue funding for that phase of the project with the Atlanta Regional Commission. The way this would work, we would apply at the end of this month for an additional $680,000 in federal funds, and there's a 20% required match of $170,000, which would come from our SPLOST fund, for a total $850,000, which is the shortfall that we have for the project. So just requesting approval to commit those funds if we receive the funding from them. Any questions?
For those at home who may not know segments 7 through 12, will you just kind of tell what they are? Somebody, Kristen, somebody?
I'm sorry.
The section 7 through 12, which sections are those?
Yeah, so it's several sections that run downtown, starting from where the Pierce Drive Trail segment ends, and it'll go down to where the Quick Trip is, and then up. There's a few, it's kind of wrapping around the downtown area, but will ultimately end up here at City Center with future plans to end up down at the Assembly.
Perfect, thank you.
And then I will just add that the administrative modification for TIP is a standard practice with the TIP program and the TIP process. We're just finally at the phase where we can start asking for those additional funding to get through that right-of-way period.
Further questions?
Do you have any idea how long it's going to take?
It's a great question. Hopefully we will be able to get the right-of-way acquisition started this year. I believe do you know the timeline?
Oh,
specific
I thought the question was for knowing about the funding. Is that your question?
Oh, funding.
Oh,
Okay.
it would be pretty quick. They said March 27th is when they would process and publish the result.
And
Well,
with,
and the reason that I ask is because if it takes 2 years, it ends
oh,
up being
no, we're
useless.
already in the TIP process with this. We already have funding, and so it's not like we're applying for a new TIP.
Right.
And so this is just, they do it quarterly. They do administrative modifications quarterly, and if you're already in the process, you pretty much get through it.
Okay.
And so this will just give us the ability to move out into that next phase, and we can hopefully get started pretty quickly and get that right-of-way acquired pretty quickly. Fingers crossed.
Sounds exciting. Sounds like all of a sudden things are going to just like explode in Chamblee, in downtown Chamblee. And it's very, it is exciting. I find it hard to believe until it happens. But,
So I say, keep
okay,
your fingers
thank you.
crossed.
Thank you. Yeah, everything I have is crossed.
All right, we'll move on down to the notice of award for the Huntley Hills Park Master Plan. I know that'll excite you too, Leslie.
It will.
Jody,
Can I jump up and down there?
you can.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We are seeking your approval to award the Huntley Hills Park Master Plan contract to Foresight Group LLC for an amount not to exceed $205,000. Following a competitive procurement process, with 10 initial proposals, Foresight Group was selected as the most qualified and responsive firm. Their team demonstrated the best technical expertise for the civil engineering and landscape architectural needs for this project. We are requesting your approval of this award and authorization for the city manager to execute the final documents. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Can you just go over what stage this is, and if we're going to have public input set?
Yes, we will. So the timeline on this is basically beginning in March. We'll kick it off with meetings with the city, and then also 3 public input meetings with the citizens of Chamblee, so not just Huntley Hills neighborhood. And then April will begin the master plan revisions and start schematic design and design development April through July, construction documents and permitting July through December, and with the goal of completing construction by October of 2027.
And there's a secondary project with the stream bank that is not included in this, or is it included?
That is correct. That is currently under our Public Works Division, and I believe they are at like 95%.
They're in permitting with environmental, so it might end up being that it's time to go to construction altogether, just because of the federal environmental permitting process.
But as you said, and I'm going to say it one more time because we are being recorded and I want all of my neighbors in Huntley Hills to hear this. These are 2 separate projects that may be done together in the same site or on the same site. However, one of them is necessary and is governed by the necessity, and the other one is going to have several, 3, you said, meetings with the public that are affected especially by this, and they will have plenty of time to have their input.
Duly noted.
Duly noted.
I was going to add that too, just to make sure, because I've been hearing about it also.
And none of this is be confused with the stormwater projects we have happening in Huntley Hills as well. That's a completely separate one. 'Cause I had the town hall in December of this year, and all 3 projects were being confused as one project. So thank you for making sure that everybody understands there's 3 separate projects working at once in Huntley Hills.
Good. Thank you, Jody. All right, that takes us down to 5039 Buford Highway. I believe this was a deferral from previous meetings.
Chief, am I doing okay on time? Nice. So this case is PZ 2025-1324. It's a request for multiple variances and waivers to construct 6 gas pumps under a freestanding canopy at 5039 Buford Highway. So this item, as you said, Mr. Mayor, was deferred in November to allow the applicant to submit additional materials addressing concerns of traffic, pedestrian safety, and facade elevations. I can confirm that staff has informed the applicant of the items requested by council at the last meeting and that several follow-up reminders were sent. But as of January 30th, which was the deadline for any new materials, no additional plans or correspondence had been received. So staff is therefore maintaining its original recommendations. As a reminder, this case involves 5 variances and 10 waivers to allow the installation of 6 fuel pumps and a freestanding canopy. The existing package store would continue to be retail. With council's permission, I'll dispense with reading each of the variances and waivers independently. Okay. So the property is a roughly 0.6 acre triangular parcel bordered on all 3 sides by Buford Highway, Chambly Dunwoody Road, and Shallowford Road. The site contains an existing 1-story commercial building constructed in 1959, which currently operates as a package store. There are 21 parking spaces and multiple curb cuts on the site, and it currently contains minimal pedestrian infrastructure. The property lies within the Buford Highway downtown connector character area, which one of the stated intents is to prioritize pedestrian safety improvements and enhance streetscape design. Here you can see the existing site, which shows the commercial building, the parking lot, which contains the 4 curb cuts and the parking spaces I mentioned previously. This slide shows the proposed site plan. The covered fuel pumps are shown in yellow. And you can see here that the 90-degree parking on site would be converted to angled parking given the reduced on-site maneuverability. 3 of the 4 existing curb cuts are retained, while the curb cut on Chambly Dunwoody Road is shown as closed. On this slide, you can see the fuel canopies, which would be built taller than the principal structure. That is one of the variance requests for the accessory structures to be not subordinate to the principal structure in height. As before, staff recommends denial of variances 1 and 2 and waivers 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. These requests are related to increasing the maximum impervious surface, accessory structure subordination, reducing the overall streetscape requirements, as well as the parking requirements and landscape requirements for the parking island. In short, staff finds that the site constraints do not constitute a hardship in complying with these requests and therefore is unable to support them. However, staff is recommending approval of variances 3, 4, and 5, which deal with the placement of the dumpsters, fuel pumps, and locating the parking between the street, as well as waivers 4 and 5, both of which deal with the proposed motor vehicle use on a storefront street. Given the unique site layout, including the lot dimensions and multiple frontages, staff finds that these requests are directly affected by the requirements of the UDO and would support them thusly. If approved in part, as we are proposing, staff would recommend adding the following conditions to your approval: that the development be construction in substantial conformity with the site plan and elevations dated received by the Planning and Development Department on September 30th, 2025, and that the enclosure be constructed of brick or masonry materials that are similar to and or complementary with the existing primary structure.
Any questions from council on this item? All right, very good. That'll circle us back to our public hearing
I do
items.
believe the applicant is here and has materials for the council to.
asking.
I am interested in seeing whatever the applicant has to show us.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
In Chagani, I live in 1624 Chelsea Falls Lane.
My name is Rajnikant Didi. I'm the owner of that property, sir.
So just a little bit background on this entity, established in 1972 and has proudly served the Shamli area, become the cherished part of the community. So in beginning, they have just changed the name of the company, and then recently they have came up with a plan that they want to add 4 pump, 3, like it's a 6 pumps, it's 3 MBTs. And in the second phase, they are decided to change the elevation of the facade of the building, working with the city planners. So we have submitted the necessary application and plans in accordance with the guidance set forth by the city planners. And as I've just heard that if this mayor and council grant the permission to build, so we can just follow all the direction and requirement that has been needed. As far as the traffic study is concerned, we have found several companies to do the traffic study, but since it's the very preliminary stage and at this time, it's about to costing us more than $15,000 to do a traffic study, which is not a viable option for us to spend until we know that what would be the decision of mayor and council. So that's why we're not able to conduct the traffic study on that one. But as far as the building facade and everything is concerned, we will follow whatever the rules and requirements to build the new structures, and we can just convert that existing building into accordingly.
Specific question, Councilman?
No, I just wanted to hear, my question was, what do your documents look like? How about that?
Got it.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, now that'll take us down to the Peachtree Road 5459, as known as 5463. Any questions to Matt on that item? All right, seeing none, we'll move on down to Longview Drive. That is the curb cut. Any questions for Matt on that item? All right, that'll take us down.
I just want to say one thing.
Gotta move quick, Leslie.
Hurry.
I'm trying to. I'm kind of, so you said that the curb cut had been expanded, but then which curb cut has been expanded?
So the secondary curb cut itself was not expanded, but the driveway was. So it went from a tire ribbon design and was expanded out from there. So that's the change. The UDO allows for legal nonconformities to continue as long as they are not expanded. In this case, we're taking an overly conservative view of that, assuming that council meant what they said when they wrote that. So we're trying to, enforce that in the way that we think is the most conservative way forward on it.
You know what's interesting about that?
What?
Google Earth started in 2008,
Oh,
so it's probably why, that's how far we go
okay.
back.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah, sorry, I
So
didn't mean to cut you
that's
off.
the limit of our current ability to research that.
Leslie was Chambly's Google Earth before Google Earth existed.
Well, let me tell you about me.
All right, any other comments on that
How she
item?
walked to school.
All right.
Both directions in the snow.
Both directions uphill in the snow.
Yes.
All right, that'll take us down to Huntington Chase. That is the fence. Any questions from council, comments on that item?
Yes, I do. Mr. David, can you step up to the microphone? Are there any drawings, because it's changed, you're changing the fence from what's current, which you have pictures of. Was there drawings submitted of what the new one will look like?
Haven't, but we would submit them during the permit process. So this was going through the variance for that, and we were presenting representative samples as part of securing that variance.
Got it. I did not see that in the packet, but I will go back and check that.
But to piggyback on that question, there are brick columns. Do you intend to keep those brick columns?
Absolutely. We would be keeping the brick columns. We would only be replacing the wooden portion of the fence.
And I guess the new fence would, because I don't know the dimension, that's why I was asking about the picture. The new fence will be up probably level with the top of the current brick columns, or they be above it?
It's a little bit different. So the new fence that we are proposing would be comparable in height to the peak of the existing fence. We currently have a scalloped shadow box fence, and that peaks out at about 6. There's some change of grade, but 6.5 feet, which is actually a little lower than the peak of most of those columns, but the aesthetic would not change significantly.
Thank you.
Any other comments from council on that item? Do you know when the existing fence was built?
It was,
Well, actually,
I know you would.
it was probably built in, what, 2001?
when was Eric elected?
Huh? 3.
Yeah.
It's kind of, that timeline's a blur.
All right. That'll take us down to mayor and council items. I don't see any of those this evening, so that'll take us down to public comments. The mayor is the presiding officer. All remarks shall be addressed to the city council as a body, not to individual members. Anyone wishing to speak shall come to the microphone, give your name and address to the city clerk. Turn the page. Turn the page. Turn the page. Limit remarks to 3 minutes unless further time is granted by council. Not speak a second time until everyone wishing to speak has spoken once, and no one can speak more than twice. And please do not speak unless you have the microphone and have been recognized. And with that, I will open it up to public comment. If anyone wishes to speak, come on up on any subject.
You can sing a song, too, if you want,
Nothing?
for 3 minutes.
Seeing nothing, if you tell me that we do not have executive session tonight, then we'll get everybody off the roads for Chief before dinner time.
Chief needs to get to dinner, yeah.
All right, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
All right.
Are we supposed to apply?
How you doing, buddy? Not too bad. Hey, don't yell at him. Yes, sir. Sir. I didn't. We'd have to ask Kristen. The other person is asked Todd, which he did not waste any time getting out of here. Todd, I